Thank you. Thank you, Chair Sanders. Former Labor Secretary Marty Walsh received Republican support for his nomination because he had unquestionable experience running organizations and handling negotiations. He had worked to develop trust between labor unions and the business community. But the nominee we're considering today is not in that mold. Ms. Sue has a decades-long record of partisan activism, promoting policies that undermine workers to the benefit of politically connected labor unions. In California, Ms. Sue was the chief enforcer of AB 5, a controversial law that attempts to eliminate the gig economy. While the economy of 2023 is the economy that they're attempting to limit. While Ms. Sue said the Department of Labor cannot unilaterally enact an ABC test, she declined to commit that she would not attempt to pursue a similar policy to accomplish the same goal through rulemaking. We asked if she would pursue changes to the joint employer rule, a major priority of unions that would completely undermine the franchise model, a franchise model which employs 8 million Americans. Her only commitment is that it would not be on the department's agenda in June. Not a very satisfactory answer. In fact, following our hearing, many members of this committee submitted questions for the record to get better clarity from Ms. Sue. Unfortunately, Ms. Sue ignored senators' requests for documents and failed to respond to questions entirely. Some of the so-called answers we did receive were simply copied and pasted sections of DOL press releases that only indirectly referenced the question presented. How can we believe that Ms. Sue will work in good faith with Congress when she did not respond adequately to even QFRs from members of this committee? It seems unlikely she would be more transparent after the confirmation process concludes. There's also serious concerns about Ms. Sue's ability to manage an agency, and I think this should be important to my Democratic colleagues. The only large agency she's run, the California Labor and Workforce Development Agency, lost $31 billion to fraudsters in unemployment insurance. And despite repeated warnings, she chose to waive crucial safeguards recommended by the Department of Labor. This was confirmed by the California Office of the Inspector General. I once heard Senator Sanders say he is not for wasting taxpayer dollars. This was a waste of taxpayer dollars. During the hearing, we heard this wasn't a big deal because other states had fraud too. Well, if any one of those secretaries of labors in any of those other states have been here with this measure of fraud, whether it was a red or blue state, neither should they be a Secretary of Labor for the United States government. There are 150 labor contracts expiring this year. When labor disputes are not handled properly, there are massive supply chain implications and economic impacts. During Ms. Sue's hearing, she was unable to provide a single instance in which she handled a successful negotiation. Ms. Sue cited being with Marty Walsh during the rail negotiation as an experience, a negotiation which failed and required Congress to intervene and pick up the pieces. A qualified Secretary of Labor needs to successfully handle negotiations, be a competent manager of a department, and refrain from partisan activism. I've not seen evidence of Ms. Sue's ability to do any of these three. That's why I'm voting no on her nomination and encourage my colleagues to do the same. Thank you.